Good evening. You are all set and ready to start.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening. Call to order the Finance Administration Committee meeting and budget workshop for today, April 7th. We have a lot of some of our vitally important but smaller departments to go over tonight for our workshops. And then we have some other budget items, some other resolutions to be talked about after the budget discussion. And also at some point during this, I think Rick will share with us some additional information on risk management pool and some of the insurance issues that are one of the drivers in this budget, but more so I think than some of the individual departments that are coming forward to us tonight. Just on the call, I'll skip over the departments because you'll all be coming up one at a time. But we have on Mayor Sherry Cantor is on the line. Finance Committee member Councilor Deb Poland is here, as well as Tiffany McGinnis and Carol Blanks. And I think that's all for council members that I can see. So with that, I'll ask for a motion on the approval of minutes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
And which I will second as the other committee member here tonight. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we have approved the minutes. So on to the budget book, Mr. Ledwith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us tonight as we continue our budget workshop process. This evening, we will be reviewing the proposed budgets for several key departments. We have general government, which includes the town clerk's office, town manager's office, Corporation Counsel, Registrar of Voters, as well as the Assessor's office. And then we will have IT, finance, HR, and then the health district as well. As you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, these are kind of smaller departments in terms of overall dollar amount as it relates to the budget. And we've been talking, more recently with our public safety units and public works. The departments we'll be talking about tonight may not be as public facing as a public safety or public works, but their impact on daily operations for our town is just as critical, as they provide the backbone that supports our services, ensures fiscal responsibility, oversees our voting process, strengthens our workforce, maintains secure technology, and certainly promotes the health and well-being of our residents through the health district. And first up tonight, Mr. Chairman, I will turn things over to, we'll go right in order that on the agenda. We'll start off with our town council and town clerk budgets. And I will, through you, Mr. Chairman, turn it over to our town clerk, Leon Davidoff, who will provide a summary of those two budgets.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Good evening, town councilors. As you all know, I also serve, in addition to being town clerk, council clerk. That's why the town council budget falls under the jurisdiction of the town clerk's office. So it's on page 4-4. You'll notice that the budget's going to increase by 9.2%. The biggest driver in this is merit increases, as well as wage settlements in past contracts. That's one of the items that you'll notice an increase. The other major increase in this budget is for professional services. And by professional services, for some reason, the town council is responsible for signing off on the invoices for the auditor. And that service is provided to both the town and to the board. So every once in a while, I'll get a notification that I need to sign off on the bill that's been submitted by our auditors. I'll be totally honest with you. I respond, I say, okay to pay as long as the services have been provided. I really don't have any interaction with the auditors, but that's where this lies in the budget and has done so for many years. If you go over to page 4-5, you'll notice that the town is a member of CROG, the Greater Hartford Transit District, and CCM, and they bill our municipality based on population and some formula they have. And basically, the looks like the price is staying the same. So that's pretty good. And then on the bottom of 4-5, you'll notice that the council has in the past made contributions to outside agencies, charitable organizations, things that make our community what it is, whether it be the symphony, the theater, playhouse, interval house, the Art League, Youth League, the Noah Webster Foundation, and of course, WHCI. One of the items that isn't listed there, one of the organizations, is the West Hartford Women's Chorale. They did send a letter to the manager, but they sent it too late to ask for funding. But in the past they have, and having talked to them again, they said that they would submit something next year to have some support from the town to foster the arts. So those are the main components of the town council budget. Entertain any questions at this time if anyone has.
Thank you, Mr. David. Off it does start with Ms. Paula. Any questions? Go ahead. Oh, not hearing you.
Very much for your presentation. Just a question about the audit. Who is responsible for choosing the auditor, and do we do an RFP every couple of years for that? Just this isn't really a budget related question, but I guess it's a budget related question, but not a budget question specifically.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Councilor Poland's question, and I could certainly turn it over to Lisa Newton as well. So our finance department is responsible for the auditor engagement process. So that includes the contract, the RFP process. I believe we just renegotiated or re-upped with CLA, but Lisa, any are we going out to bid anytime soon for that? Or did we?
We'll go out to bid next year. So
Okay.
we still have CLA for this year.
Okay. So the relationship is managed through our finance department.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I do not see any hands. Thank you, and we'll move on to the next item, which is also you, Leon, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is the Office of the Town Clerk. I'd like to express my gratitude to my staff who make being West Hartford Town Clerk a much more pleasant experience. And we are a front-facing, public-facing office on a daily basis with lots of in-person transactions. And as you will note, that our budget is going up 4.4%. A majority of that are wages and merit increases. We have a decline in one of our line items, and that's in temporary payroll. It's being cut by about 48%. We did have a part-time person who retired at the end of December. We have had a college student filling in 1 day a week, perhaps two, on a part-time basis to do the things that that employee was doing. We have no intention in this fiscal year, the current fiscal year, to spend all the allotments that we have in the part-time salary line. And a lot of the funds were not expended this year. She was out sick for a long period of time as well. The going forward, starting July 1st, and it's our hope that maybe in September we could get a part-time person with the budgeted amount of $23,604. The reason that this is so crucial to our office is that there's things that I cannot control, and that is people in our department are entitled to sick days, vacation days, personal days, time off, really. And when you're basically a department of four, The worst scenario is then when there's only 2 of us here. So that's when it gets a little tricky. It also gets a little tricky on the lunch hour. We try to stagger them starting at 12 noon. Someone goes at 12:30, someone goes at 1, someone goes at 1:30. That's in a perfect world where we don't have public at the counter to meet whatever inquiries they may have. So it could get further in the day. So when we did have the part-time person, that person was able to cover lunches. They were also able to come in and backfill when somebody was out. The other reason that the part-time employee is important is we're required to go to training seminars put on by the Connecticut Town Clerks Association. Our employees need to stay very current on their professional development. And I can't be the only person going. They need to go to earn their own professional development hours to hear the changes in the procedures under the Secretary of State or the Connecticut Department of Public Health. Those are 2 of the major state agencies we interact with. So, and those are usually in an all-day seminar. So, for example, we're going on April the 24th to the spring conference for the Connecticut Town Clerks Association Spring Conference. 2 of my members will be attending so that they can have more professional development. That will leave in the office just 2 employees. So as you can imagine, people need to go to lunch, people need to take restroom breaks. It is challenging to run an office with just 2 people, but we've done it, we're able to do it. But with the ability to have a part-time person to fill in, it makes it a little bit easier in light of what we're going at, what's happening in terms of the overall budget. I did ask for a permanent full-time person, but I get it. I've been in your shoes. So perhaps this isn't the year, but perhaps in the future, perhaps if we could get perhaps 2 part-time people, somebody could work either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, somebody could work Tuesday, Thursday. We'd always have somebody that we could call. This isn't one of these offices where I can just get somebody off the street to just fill in from a temporary agency. You really need to know the particulars on all the transactions that you're doing. They're all guided by state statute. You need to know what you're doing, because if you make a mistake, it's not a little mistake, it's a big mistake. And then when we get to election season, there's really no room for error. The proper ballots need to go into the proper envelopes. And it's unclear right now as to what the legislature will do with respect to absentee ballot. Right now, there's going to be no excuse. We haven't seen the final bill on that yet. Right now, there isn't anything that says that we have to mail every single registered voter an absentee ballot application, thank goodness, because that would be probably an unfunded mandate. We wouldn't have the mailing costs in this budget, nor do we really have the work hours, the people to do everything, to do that. And but we got through early voting. We did it 3 times, and it was quite successful. But there are things with the new tabulators coming online, which should alleviate the need for us to stay here to 11 o'clock at night to reconcile all the ballots that are cast from early voting. So let's just hope that common sense finds its way in the legislature, and they understand that it's going to be okay for the voter to stick their ballot into the tabulator and seal it that way going forward. But I know I sent to the entire council a presentation that we gave to our delegation outlining absentee balloting and early voting in the town of West Hartford. It was very detail oriented. But the response I got from our state delegation was, I don't think they really understood all the legal logistical aspects of issuing an absentee ballot from step A to step Z. And I said, this is just one example of one of the processes we do on a daily basis. Like we could have picked issuing a birth certificate or recording a land record. So they were appreciative of that. And I think it gave them some pause before they just press the green button up at the legislature. You'll note that we had a change in our land recording software. COT was our vendor, and they're no longer supporting eSearch only for internal use, which means all our departments, our assessor's department and a few other departments here. So now people will go onto a platform still owned by COP called Record Hub. And there's a whole different payment scheme. Contract that I was able to negotiate is a 5-year deal. And they basically pay us money for copies, and we're no longer the holder of deposits for copies. The software also has things for not only land records, but also for vital records and for dog licenses. And that also is in the mix right now. There's a bill in the legislature to just issue dog licenses every 3 years. But it's sort of, they didn't really understand the logistics of that as well. So we'll see how that lands as well. I do want to let you know about a very important bill that has come out of the judiciary, that they want to create an office of privacy out of the judiciary department. And they would want us to redact from all online records, once a request is made, anybody in the judicial branch. So right now we have all our land records online going back to 1966. The protection of that redaction would extend to the spouse as well as the children. There is, under the current bill, strict liability if we miss something. So we did meet with our lobbyist, and we were all basically polled as to what we would do if that was the case, if this bill can't get a working group to find logistical, sound, reasonable solutions to what they're looking for. And the city of Waterbury, and myself on behalf of the town of West Hartford said that we would just pull down our online land records instead of incurring a strict liability that wouldn't even be covered under any type of act of omission liability insurance. We don't have right now the software in place to make the redactions. And as I pointed out earlier, we don't have staff in place to just continue to search these things. The bill is sort of short-sighted, as I noted during our recent call with our lobbyist, because while it talks about land records, it does not mention the property cards, which are in the assessor's office. So all one would have to do is do a search of our database online here on our website. You pull up the individual's name, you go right to the property, and it will tell you the volume and page, as well as a sketch of their home, a diagram of the inside of their home. So they're trying to protect the safety of people who serve as judges and others of the judicial branch. But here, somebody who wants to possibly do harm to a member of the judicial branch would have explicit floor plans of this individual's home. So that wasn't even recognized when the drafters of the bill brought the bill forward. So this is what we've been encountering this session with the legislature. There's a lot of logistics that they're really not looking at that have widespread ramifications on the things that we do in our office. So I just wanted to let you know that you do speak to members of the delegation, that ask them to really read this and see if they understand the implications of what they're voting, because that's what we're trying to do as the Town Clerks Association. And then the last thing about my budget is there's a line item for information technology. We have invested in this software program called MapLink. It's a very cool software program. It lines up each parcel of land in the town of West Hartford, so that if you click on it, you'll be able to see all the encumbrances, how it's zoned, what could be built here. Right now, the initial build out was financed by the town clerk's office, and there's a yearly fee for the maintenance of that software. I would respectfully request that in going forward, that maintenance contract be split between our office and the planning department, since they're going to be using it quite a bit internally and directing developers and architects and land surveyors to that. And eventually, you probably should just go to theirs. I don't think a lot of the title searchers will be looking for that type of stuff. So as you can see in our summary of activities, we were very busy in calendar year 2024. There was no shortage. And lastly, I'd like to thank Bob Palmer and the town manager for the reconfiguration of the town clerk's office.
Are you in? Do you see it? Yeah. I see you. Okay.
I don't know if you've all been by the office, but we changed the orientation and it's much more customer friendly. The reason we had to do that was the first day I went to a clerk's conference in 2023, I was told that there cannot be any electronic equipment in a land vault or in our vital records vault. And I walked in there and there were 3 computers to be used by the public as well as a map printer. So I basically didn't tell anybody there that from the state library that we were in violation. And as circumstance had it, we were able to come up with this new configuration. It's really great. The map printer's out in the office. The computers are there now, and we're in total compliance with what needs to be. But not only did we get a new counter to help us out, the wallpaper, because of the Halloween flood from the 4th floor, was all removed. The office is freshly painted, and then the carpet squares, which were totally ruined. When carpet squares get water on them, they no longer have any adhesive qualities, so they were all removed. So, and it was done really, really well. And I will just say that the morale and attitude of my staff is off the meter chart. It just totally improved that their workspace is a much more pleasant place to work. And it's just been one of the best things that we could have been able to accomplish in a short period of time. So I'm very appreciative of that. So I'll stop here and answer any questions.
Thank you. That complete report. Any questions? Appreciate all the work you've been doing in your office. I do not see any questions. Thank you very much for the update. And I will ask one question. What do we get for a dog license?
I'm sorry, Ben?
What do we get for a dog license?
Oh, believe it or not, so if your dog is spayed or neutered, we get $8. And if it's not altered at all, we charge $19. Of those 2 amounts, we keep $1. But we just got our dog tags in, and the bill was in excess of $300 just for the dog.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a loser.
Is there the $1? All right. So, well, thank you for the report. And we'll turn it back to Rick for the town manager's report.
Yes, thank you. I will provide a brief summary of our town manager's report. And as you know, our office is comprised of myself and Gerarda Reinheimer right here in the town manager's office. And we have Renee McHugh, our public relations specialist, Adrian Billing-Smith, who's our employee development and community engagement leader, and then Kristen Gorski and Lauren Siegel make up our economic development department. So in this proposed budget, you'll see when I get to the page, there's been no operating expense increases across any line items. The only increases in salaries related to our staff. So, but the budget we do feel will support our public relations office, continue to enhance public access to timely and clear information while managing several different digital platforms. Our economic development budget will build on the momentum of attracting new businesses and retaining and expanding businesses, and overall supporting our very vibrant local economy. And then it will also allow us to build a stronger community ties through our engagement practices and initiatives that give voices to our residents townwide. So our budget is found on page 418, and it's roughly $1 million up from $977,000 last year, with that entire increase related to payroll. And as I said, no corresponding increases among any of our operating line items. And I will pause there through you, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions that the council had.
Thank you very much for your report. I'll note one thing just on your report, and it sort of applies, we've had this discussion, it applies to really every department. The regular payroll line, to the extent that there were retroactive payments, is balanced out by the sort of separate line item for the contingency fund. So even though some of the individual lines look like a lot of payroll because of the settling bunch of prior years, the average increase actually, if you take into account the contingency, I think we worked out to be about 5.4% for the overall budget. So just in
Correct.
case anybody's looking at that one line and thinking, that seems particularly high. Again, a lot of that is because we don't have as many outstanding settlements, we can put less money into the contingency.
You're exactly right. Yeah. So our average wage increase for this fiscal year is about 3%, depending on what union folks are in. And then they're depending on where they are in the salary scale, they could be eligible for a merit increase as well. So there's a cost of living adjustment as well as a merit increase. And overall, to your point, the average would be a combination of those two in that 4, 5.5% range, depending again where they are on the salary scale.
That's right. All right, thank you. Just to so any questions on your details of your budget? I do not see any hands or waving. So thank you very much. And we can move on Corp Counsel, I guess.
Yep. Next up, we have our Deputy Corporation Counsel, Gina Verano, here with us this evening, who will give us a quick summary of her budget.
Good evening. For the record, Gina Verano, Deputy Corporation Counsel. My office budget starts on page 4-21. I'm going to give you a few comments first about the department, and then I'll get to the numbers. So the mission statement is on the first page. If I were to summarize it, I'd say the responsibilities of the Office of Corporation Counsel are really divided into probably 5 categories. First, we appear on behalf of the town in all actions and lawsuits and other legal proceedings. And while most may think that's just state and federal court, we actually go to probate court, bankruptcy court, DOT hearings, DPH hearings, the Freedom of Information Commission hearings. 2, we provide legal advice, both oral and written, to the town council, of course, the town manager, and all the department heads. 3, we also prepare contracts and forms, and we'll review any other form template that any of the departments may ask us to prepare as part of their operational needs. For example, waivers, releases, applications, things like that. 4, we do manage outside counsel, and we make recommendations to the town council for compromises and settlements of all the pending litigation. And finally, 5, we draft resolutions and ordinances as may be required for the town council meetings. The second part of it is our highlight and accomplishments. I'm not going to go through each one of those individually. They're set out there, but if I were to summarize them, I say that they're varied. They range from transactional matters to litigation matters. We represent the town and its departments, but we also represent the Board of Ed, and we also represent the Health District. On to the numbers. So the Corporation Council's budget is flat, except for merit increases. And then the 2 other increases are mandatory increases in Social Security as a result of the wage increases, and also increase in the education premium pay as a result of some wage settlements. To highlight just a few of them, the regular payroll is the 3 full-time employees. That's me, the Deputy Corporation Counsel, the Assistant Corporation Counsel, and our legal assistant. The Corporation Counsel's compensation is paid out of professional services. And as you know, his compensation is set by the town council. The other item is the contractual services. And I use that to retain outside counsel in areas of expertise that our department doesn't have. So for example, environmental matters. And that's where the outside counsel gets paid out of contractual services. I will take any questions at this point. I mean, the budget is kind of simple, flat, except for some wage increases. So if there's any questions from council members, I'm happy to take those now.
Thank you for the report. Looking at hands. Again, nice and simple report, hard to pick at anything in particular. And thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. We have great representation. Full confidence in the work you and your staff perform. So thank you. It's led with. We'll move on to our
Yes,
next
next
item.
up, Mr. Chairman, we have the Registrar of Voters budget, which can be found on page 4-27 of your board book, 4-25, sorry. Starts on 425 and then goes through 427. So, and I just quickly want to highlight a significant accomplishment from this past year, and that was when our during a national election, registrars achieved the second highest voter turnout in Connecticut during the November general election, early voting process. So kudos to our 2 registrars or deputies, as well as the entire registrar team. We did receive also by the hard work of our registrars, received 2 grants to assist us with the early voting process this year. One was for $16,600. The second one was for $10,500. And then outside of the wage increases associated with registrars, deputies, as well as voting staff, there are no other increases in the registrar's budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And so through you, Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions that yourself or the council has related to the ROV budget.
Thank you for the report, and certainly share everybody's gratitude toward the excellent work in the last election. Fantastic job. Any questions on that piece of the budget? Do not see any. So we can move on to the assessors, I think.
Yeah, next up we have the assessors. We have Mr. Dakers joining us this evening from the assessors. I do want to take a quick moment to thank Joe and his team for their efforts. Certainly a lot of work goes into publishing the grand list each year. And then after Joe and his team published that grand list, we asked him to republish the motor vehicle grand list after the legislation gave us the option of amending the depreciation schedule utilized for the motor vehicle assessment. So that was no easy task either. So appreciate all of the efforts of Joe and his team and working with us to help out with that motor vehicle assessment. And through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn things over to Joe Dakers.
You're muted, Mr. Deckard. There we go. Nope.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to give me to present the Department of Assessment's budget. I think our mission, I can always indicate succinctly that we merely discover, list, and value property, taxable and exempt property in the town of West Hartford, and we disseminate that information to stakeholders in town, residents, and others who are interested in that data in an efficient, polite manner. And that's our mission here in the assessor's office. Our budget is not a big one. We had a number of, on page 4.31, we had a number of categories that had, I guess you would ascribe to some significant increase with the payroll up 10.7% and the education premium up 23.5%. And I understand that was attributable to some kind of wage negotiations. We also had a significant increase in our Social Security category of 10.9%. Lastly, we had a decline in our IT category of 7.2%. And that was largely from moving certain items within the annual software maintenance invoices to another category, like the printing and binding of our annual grand list. I'm happy to say that we've had some continuity in our assessment staffing. That has been the desire of mine over the last 8 or 9 years. We have a full staff of people. At least 3 of them, however, are new. We have one property appraiser 1, one property appraiser 2, one property appraiser 3. We actually have 2, I'm sorry, property appraiser 3. One of them is over the commercial real estate area, and the other property appraiser 3 is over the residential area. Under the property appraiser 3 with the residential section, he has 2 appraisers that are out in the field daily, managing the approximately 9,000 building permits that we get every year. And I don't want to leave out our staff assistants who do a phenomenal job for the town. They are the front line for everybody that comes into this office. There's intake of about 450 to 500 elderly tax relief returns every year. Veterans applications for a variety of benefit programs that we administer, and also the valuation of approximately 46,000 motor vehicles annually and 2,718 thereabouts personal property counts. So it's a small staff, but we get a lot done. And of course, when we don't have a full staff, it puts a little stress on us, but we've been able to manage over the years. In terms of highlights, I won't go through the litany of them all. Most of them deal with the processing of the grant list and the requirements for filing our various state reports. I will like to point out in terms of some goals and objectives, we do have some software in our office called C3 AI. And this is something that we're not committed with yet, but it's dealing with the artificial intelligence, the valuing process. So we're looking at that. It is in place in some sectors of the country. And while it will not eliminate any staff, it could bring big time efficiencies to that overall process. I've completed the RFP for the 2026 revaluation. I know many don't want to hear about that, but it's upon us again. And so those bids are in the purchasing department. And this is a segue for me to indicate that I did submit a budget request for the 2026 revaluation in the amount of $625,000. However, since we have received the bids in for the revaluation, I am now cutting that number down to $595,000. And I could give you a list of things that covers as an addendum to the request for funding for this category. At this point, I will be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have on our budget.
That's great. On that last point, where is that budget item in the current book, or that? I'm not.
Well, we were required to submit a request for capital budget to the town manager.
Okay, so that comes as capital?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just couldn't find it. I didn't spot it, that line in the book, and I was.
Was that improper to air it out here?
No, not at all. So that's
No. You're good.
No, just too many books to handle. I do see a hand up.
I just wanted to add to that, what Joe said about the capital budget. We actually have savings from the last reval, so we'll be using that money. Nothing has been added to the FY26 CIP for the appraisals or the valuation. It's old money that we've already had approved through the town council.
Great, thank you. That's always good to hear.
And I just have one last remark. This will be my last budget for the town of West Hartford. I pointed out to Rick last December of my retirement plans. And so I have formally submitted my resignation papers of this position. I have mixed emotions about it. I actually enjoy my job. I love working for the town of West Hartford. There's still a lot more work here to do, and I like fixing things. But my wife of 46 years may have a problem with that if I go beyond that December 30th date. So, this is probably my last hurrah here with the town of West Hartford. And I thank you all for the various opportunities that you have given this entire department to serve, and to serve with distinction based upon the caliber of service that the town of West Hartford is accustomed to. And we try to do that every day for all of our residents and any of our customers that come into this office. There is a high standard, and we try to keep that flag up all the time. So I thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. And I do think it probably exceeds my authority as chair of this committee to reject your suggestion that you're retiring. But I've certainly, it has been an incredible pleasure working with you. And I'm sure you'll, so I very much appreciate the opportunity to be sort of the first to get to say it, but there will be lots of praise coming in the next few months, I have no doubt. But certainly thank you very much for your service to this town, your professionalism, your skill. We've got some pretty big shoes to fill, and you're definitely going to be missed. So thank you very much for your report today, and again, for all your work.
No, thank you.
And
I would agree with you, Mr. Chairman. Although when Mr. Dakers just made that announcement, he said the word probably, which I wrote down and put in quotes. And as Joe knows, I spent a lot of time trying to talk him out of this one. But he's worked hard for a long time. When I moved into this role 3 years ago and started working with other town managers around the state, you know, one common theme always came up when talking about our assessment office and our assessor, and that was you have the best one in the state working in West Hartford, and no doubt we do and have. Joe and I recently, within the last couple of weeks, I asked Joe, because it was like a Saturday and he was here, and I'm like, Joe, what are you going to do with your time? I mean, you only know one speed, and that's just to keep going and going and going and working and working and working. But he is right. He deserves to go off into the sunset and spend some quality time with his wife. And I will try not to get in the way of that as we continue to move through the rest of 25. But we'll have plenty of opportunities with Joe between now and December. I'm sure there'll be an appeal or two that will be before the committee as we move forward. But Joe has been a pleasure to work with, and you're right, Mr. Chairman. We do have big shoes to fill, but Joe's worked really hard with his department, and we're in great shape with his staff, and have no doubt we'll find someone very, very capable to take over for Joe, but he will be missed. And that brings us to the next department, and that will be IT. So we have our Chief Information Officer, Mr. Moran, here with us this evening to give us an overview of his budget.
And just for 1 second, we didn't ask for any questions.
Oh, yeah.
Good opportunity if anybody has any questions. I do not see any, but do want to skip anybody in case somebody wanted to grill Joe, right? You know, I'm out of time here. All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And Mr. Moran.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Ledwith. My name is Jared Moran, Director of Technology. My department budget begins on page 5-1, which highlights some of our accomplishments and goals. And then you'll note on page 5-4, there are no increases to operating expenses. So much like the other departments, our only change is related to the required collective bargaining unit salary increases. We are a very small department, but we handle a lot, all the technology support for all the other departments in town. And I did want to call attention to page 5-6. You'll note that we support 46 municipal and school locations on our own fiber optic network, which we've built out over the last 12 years. So that keeps a lot of the costs down because we don't have to pay any leasing for that. We maintain it ourselves in cooperation with Public Works and some outside contractors. But 99% of the time, it just works as is. And unless there's a squirrel issue or an ice storm, we're in good shape. We also close over 13,000 help desk tickets, and that's the reportable tickets. That's when people actually use the system. There's still plenty of phone calls and, the drop-ins that don't get logged necessarily. So, kudos to my team for all the hard work they do. I know that they are swamped, but they come to work every day with a smile on their face and do it all over again. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have through you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I do want to highlight your goals for the year. There's some really great ideas here, and appreciate that and encourage you to take a look at it. I will note that you're upgrading that 75% of the desktop of our computers are running Windows 10, need to be upgraded. I too am dealing with that issue at my home computer, and I'm resisting. I might have to do it. Any advice you can give people would be helpful, but I know I'm sure we'll see. Will that be an expense we're going to see next year, or is that how? I am curious as to how expensive that's going to be.
What we're able to do, Microsoft is allowing you to extend support of Windows 10. So it's actually very affordable on my school side department. It's $1 per computer. For government, it's a little more money. It's $60 per computer, but that's still significantly cheaper than a new computer. So that's allowing us to kind of limp along and get these replaced in a more reasonable time frame.
Great. Well, that's good to hear. Hate to replace every computer in the system.
Right.
Would be a bit of a hit. All right. Thank you. Any other questions? Do not see any. Thanks very much. Definitely one of the departments that you're doing best when we don't hear about you. So
it's true.
So that is all to the good. Let's see, Mr. Ledwith, what do we have next? Finance.
Yeah, so next up we have finance. I'll turn it over to Lisa Newton, who can provide an overview of the finance budget. And then you may recall, Mr. Chairman, a couple of years ago, we moved risk management under our Department of Finance. And we've invited our risk manager, Mike McNally, who's here with us tonight as well. So when Lisa's done with her budget overview, we'll turn things over to Mike. Mike's been with us now for about a year, a little more, and has been an excellent addition to our staff, and really appreciate his kind of vision in terms of how he assimilated with the town, and came in. We have a relatively complicated risk management fund. Quickly wrapped his hands around that. Those responsibilities, and then had the opportunity to take a step back and look at things and look at opportunities to make changes as we move forward. And I'd like Mike to talk a little bit about what he's been doing as he's given a quick overview of that risk management portion, particularly around workers' compensation and getting folks back to work a lot sooner than we may have in the past, which is really going to pay dividends to the town as we move forward in our residents. So through you, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn things over to Lisa Newton.
Good evening, everyone. So the Department of Finance has 22 full-time employees, 4 part-time employees. We're responsible for the accurate, timely reporting and recording of financial transactions. We invest all the public funds. We prepare and monitor the town's annual budget, including developing the 12-year capital improvement plan. We're responsible for the annual external audit and for preparing the town's annual comprehensive financial report. We're also responsible for accounts payable, receivable, and payroll, procurement of goods and services for both the town and the Board of Education, property tax collection and ordinance violations, and as Rick had just mentioned, now the administration of the risk management programs, which include heart and hypertension, town health, workers' comp, and property and casualty risks for both the town and the Board of Education. Just going to go over a couple accomplishments very quickly. So we successfully utilized all of the American Rescue Plan Act of 21's funds and, that were designated to us by the federal government, which totaled $37,234,783.08. I also wanted to point out that our tax collection rate for the last 5 years has been over what we've budgeted. It's been hovering around 99.4%. We budget at 99.1. Bless you. We received Distinguished Budget Presentation Award again this past year, which is great. Getting into our budget, I don't really have a lot to report. Our biggest increase, our budget increased, it's on page 6.2. And our budget increased $240,000 or 8.6%. The majority of which, just like any other department, has been in wages and salaries and fringe benefits. We did have an increase in temporary payroll. We have a few projects going on that we're using our retirees to help out with. One of them is the MARC system, which in conjunction with our actuaries and with HR, we are implementing an electronic version of calculating pension calculations. The other thing, we have a new a new purchasing agent. So that position was formerly under the Director of Finance. That was split out at the end of FY24 when Peter Privatera retired. So we have a purchasing agent now and a buyer. So some of those duties have transferred over to the purchasing agent in purchasing. We have a part-time person that's helping out with that transition with the new reorg of that department. In the revenue collection department, we also have 2 part-time people, but we're reducing their hours. We have our staff is becoming more experienced. Our full-time staff is becoming more experienced. So we don't need as much of the part-time employees to fill in at peak tax season. So overall, our temporary payroll only increased $11,000, but I just wanted to point out those specific reasons. The only other thing I wanted to point out was in our financial operations division, our revenue collection division, we did decrease contractual services, which related to banking fees for lockbox and other things for tax. We were able to decrease that by $13,000 by utilizing an earnings credit through our bank, TD Bank. So that's really all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, and thank you for your work on, certainly on ARPA. I know you became experts on something that is now moot. So you have an expertise and a now lost art. But you certainly did a great benefit to the town and appreciate all that work. Open up for questions. Ms. Paulin?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm sure that's going to be a transferable skill. So I'm just a little bit confused about the positions, and I'm hoping you can help me understand. On page 6.2, it says that you have 19 positions in the general fund.
Correct.
And then on 6.3, you list out the full-time position schedule, and I only see 10.
On 6.3 is just one division. So this is the financial operations division.
Okay.
We also have purchasing, revenue collection, and financial systems management divisions.
There you go. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other, can I just, I pointed this out before, but my day job, I look at a lot of budgets, and I've never seen a budget like in terms of like the form that we have in West Hartford, in terms of transparency, in terms of sort of as difficult as they are to read. There's a narrative, and actually you can follow it a lot easier than other places I've seen. And I think there's a reason to keep on winning awards for this. Again, I see some others, and I've shown other like leaders, hey, listen, this is how we do it here in West Hartford, and they're sort of obvious jealousy or just admiration of the work that is done. If you take your time, you can see everything right here, and it's a real credit to your department. So thank you. Any other questions? Right.
So at this point, Mr. Chairman, we'll turn things over to Mike McNally. So
Great.
Our risk management program is split out into our workers' compensation program, health program, heart and hypertension, self-insured program, and insured program. Michael hit all of those except for the health program, and then I'll talk about the health program when Mike's done. Through you, Mr. Chairman, turn things over to Mike.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the group. Anytime I have a chance to brag about my team's accomplishments, it's I top on that opportunity, especially when the boss asks. So, unfortunately, I'm always the person that has to bring the bad news about the massive insurance rate increases we have because of the state of Connecticut's legislation and claims market that we have. But fortunately, we were able to balance a lot of things out as a result of that. And I'm not going to beat up our budget this year too much. I'm going to talk about some methodologies we've taken to kind of reduce costs overall. But the big red flag that you see on the budget for this year is our liability. Just like everybody else in the state of Connecticut, our overall claims experience is relatively steady. However, we had to take a relatively conservative approach, about a 15% budgeted increase, to take into fact that there is a state of litigation in Connecticut with these nuclear verdicts that come out that scare a lot of insurers into insuring municipalities and particularly Board of Education for certain types of claims. We have taken some significant steps in reducing those costs, and also, as Rick may have mentioned, we're going through a full-scale marketing campaign through our broker this year by kind of marketing what our loss control programs are, what we're trying to do for steps to reduce claim costs, transfer risk, and take overall steps to making ourselves more marketable in the insurance market. Been working with our broker nonstop in identifying these programs, stepping up. I've got a team of 2 guys that work like a team of 10 guys. I mean, they're just working around the clock and trying to reduce these costs. And with that, I think that we're going to be far more marketable in the liability, but that conservative number, the 15%, would be a worst case scenario. Really, I expressed to the broker that 15% year over year is just unacceptable. And there are other options as so far that we're looking that there's even the possibility of some potential for multi-year rate locks going forward through this marketing campaign. So hopefully we'll have some more exciting news on that. On the property side, it's a little bit different. Property is stabilized. It's a real easy negotiation this year, flat rate across the board. There is a 2% increase just for the status of inflation. I'm not sure how construction costs will increase courtesy of the tariffs that are rolling out, but as of right now, 2% is the conservative inflation for building costs that we've added. So for the workers' comp program, you'll notice that's stabilized out. And actually, the reason why the number is even as high as it is because we've been able to tackle quite a few legacy claims. These claims have been lingering for decades because of our new multifaceted approach to kind of reduce our costs. Since I've been here for a year, last year when I was here, I was giving you all the bad news of the program, the rate increase. Now it's better because it's more of a rate stabilization or rate decrease when it comes to that. Because we're self-insured for the first 500 and 750,000 for the workers' comp claim, we're essentially running a fully self-insured program. And the most important aspect of fully self-insured is reducing those claim costs however much possible. And that the premiums won't reflect that so much, but our overall claim costs would be. And by doing so, the first phase that we did was we established a primary initial care facility. What we were doing before was we were sending our employees to the emergency room or walk in at the emergency, which obviously will immediately transfer care to hospital or specialist orthos. So people were going into surgeries much faster, going to specialists that weren't workers' comp trained, and we were paying significantly higher for claim costs as a result of that. What we did to reduce that is we went to an occupational health clinic that specializes in workers' comp and conservative treatment. So our employees are going to physical therapy. They're going to different types of specialists prior to going immediately under the knife for surgery, which has resulted in a faster claim turnaround and also the cost of claim because the amount of surgeries and referrals that are going out has been cut to probably down 75% from where we were at before. Aside from that, what we did, we worked with the state of Connecticut. We went through a very rigorous audit on our workers' comp program from our safety committees all the way down to our handling of claims. They came in, looked at our program, and we developed a managed care network, which is essentially an HMO for workers' comp. It's worked out really nice because what we're doing is we're getting our employees to doctors that specialize in workers' comp. Appointments are coming in faster, the billing is being more streamlined, and most importantly, it's getting our employees back to work faster. So all of these doctors that are in the network are familiar with the light duty program, which was phase 3, that our employees, we will find something for them to do. As the state auditor said, we don't care if they're counting paper clips, as long as they're under the roof doing something productive and not at home, they get better faster. And that has been proven to be true. We've cut our average recovery time down to about 10 days per claim. So obviously, there's some more significance when it comes to surgeries, but even the surgeries, the average turnaround for the more significant is about 60 days before they're able to come back and do something productive in the office, which has dramatically decreased the cost of claims. And one thing that I presented to Rick earlier last month is what we were paying out prior to this implementation of these 3 phases. We had about $50,000 to $60,000 per month in indemnity payments that were going out the door to employees who were on temporary total disability under workers' comp. That number has now been decreased to on average between $15,000 to $18,000 a month. So $60,000 to $15,000 per month is a nice savings to the program, and it's getting people back faster, and it's been a pretty successful program thanks to my workers' comp team here. Lastly, the last thing we've been doing is been working. Gina's no longer on the line, I don't believe, but we're working directly with Corp Counsel and some aggressive claim management. So on the liability side, outside of the workers' comp, we've also been a lot more hands-on with our liability claims, reducing costs, working with legal counsel earlier in the claims, and our insurance companies have been appreciative of that, and that'll also be reflected in our premiums as well. Sorry for the long-winded explanation there.
That's fantastic, and I can't tell you how many members I've represented who were just couldn't believe that there wasn't a duty on the part of employers to have light duty. You know, it establishes sort of an employer's right to do it, but it's a win-win. You can get people back to work, and certainly members I've represented, people prefer to work, and again, obviously savings if you can bring people back and get value out of them as well. So thank you for those work. Can I just ask you, we're looking at the budget book. If you could just pinpoint exactly where I was looking at 6-15. Is that where sort of just identify where sort of budget drivers are with?
Geez, I don't have that open in front of me. Hold on.
And not in front of you. Just make sure we have the figures right. I know that Rick is going to talk about the health insurance aspect of this, but I'm just looking. There's an operating expense increase of 7.6%. That's from 30 million to like 30.5 to 33.5. the extra $3 million, is that,
Apologies, I'm pulling this up as we speak here.
sure, yeah. And part of this is, so, yeah, again, we are always looking for our biggest budget drivers and to see what's really impacting our bottom line.
Correct. So the big increase that you see is the 16.3% on page 6-22 for the insured programs.
622. Okay, there you go. Okay. So that's that's about $500,000.
Correct. Yeah, that's for the liability programs and the full insured. Again, that's
a liability
the worst
aspect
case.
of it. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And the bigger increase, I think, is on the health side. I know we're getting.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that. But yeah,
Right.
so the operating expenses in the risk management fund are essentially all of your insurance expenses.
Right.
So they're not operating expenses like we have in public works or police and fire. So it's essentially any premiums that are going up would be reflected in our operating expense number within the risk management fund.
Right.
We also fund 3 positions through the risk management fund as well. So they're not in the general fund. Those are found. We fund those and are eligible to fund those through the risk management fund.
Great. All right. Thank you. Any questions for Mike on his team and his efforts? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Trida, can you bring up the healthcare slide for me? Next one. Next one. That's the pension. Yeah, there you go. All right. And I know we've had a chance to talk a few times about the healthcare increases in some of our community conversations, as well as the budget presentation on back in March as well. So we have been with the Connecticut State Partnership Plan now. So the schools went first back in 2019. The town followed shortly after. And when we initially joined the state partnership plan, we saved $2 million that first year that we joined. So, and then this year, as we all know, we had which started out as a 9.9% increase. It's been lowered slightly, not much, to 9.4%. And it's been one of those years. It couldn't have come at a worse time with some of the challenges that we're facing with our budget. So the mayors had conversations with our state comptroller, as well as I have, as well as the state overall. And there's been an increase in specialty prescription drug utilization within the state plan, as well as an increase in inpatient hospital claims. So healthcare trend overall is 7.9%, and the specialty RX trend is a little bit higher than that at 13.3%. So that 9.4 this year is coming in a little bit higher than the national trend. Last year, our increase was 2%, and trend was a very similar number last year as well. So we've benefited from being in the state partnership plan over the last several years. Our average increase year over year has been 4.6% since we've been with the state partnership plan. Again, this year hit us a little bit harder with that at 9.4. And then we'll hopefully see that number drop for next year, but we'll certainly keep a close eye on the overall experience of the state partnership plan as a whole. So the other component of our healthcare costs is we do have a retiree healthcare reserve, and the town has been making an increase in their annual contribution, the council through the budgeting process year over year, and that increase is a $400,000 increase year over year. So this year's total contribution to the retiree healthcare reserve is $11.6 million. Our total retiree healthcare claims is roughly $10.5 million. So we're a little bit higher in terms of that contribution into the reserve fund, which helps, offset our long-term retiree healthcare liabilities overall. So this is one area that the town's been committed to maintaining that contribution year over year. And we were one of the first in the state to establish a retiree healthcare reserve fund. And then back in 2003, we set up a trust fund, which is for employees hired after 2003. We had made changes to our benefit structure, which ended up resulting in employees having to work longer to be eligible for retiree healthcare, in addition to changes in contributions into the retiree healthcare plan as well. So those are being funded through the trust fund overall. So, so that, I know we have talked about this a little bit as we've moved through the past few weeks, but happy to pause there and take further questions on our healthcare overall.
Thank you. Any questions? I do not see any hands. I don't think so. I think we're starting to get it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, the repetition is helpful though, and the numbers are big. So, but very much appreciate that review. Thank you. All right, I guess we can move on to the next.
Yeah, next up, we have the Human Resources Department, and we have our Director, Josephine Agnello-Vili, with us this evening, and Joe will give us a update on the HR budget, and then when it gets to the pension portion of the HR budget, I'll give a quick overview on that as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, we have about 7 full-time employees, both within HR and our pension side. Our mission is to provide a variety of HR support to 619 full and part-time regular employees, as well as over 700 temporary seasonal employees. Some of our roles involve recruitment, selection, employment classification, labor relations, employee relations, contract negotiations, performance management, employee training, employee benefits, benefits administration, onboarding, offboarding, as well as wellness programs such as employee assistance. The budget for this year has remained almost entirely unchanged, with the exception of areas of payroll, Social Security, and some slight increase in educational premiums. Some of our accomplishments have been, we get a lot done with a very small group of people. We've had 69 new hires over the past year, 11 promotions, and 254 seasonal temporary hires. And on a note, some of those seasonal temporary hires, it takes just as much work to onboard them as it does to onboard a regular, either part-time or full-time employee. Offboarding of about 52 full-time and part-time employees and 111 seasonal and temporary workers. We finalized last year 600 collective bargaining agreements. We've conducted 8 investigations. We've done 39 FMLA requests, and we've also completed a new performance evaluation tool with our team, which is yet still to be finalized, but it's something that we're going to use across the entire town. We're looking into incorporating a paperless HR platform over the next year. The platform will incorporate technology from the application process to the hire process during the employment process, such as evaluation, training, benefits, storage of records, and offboarding. It's going to be mobile friendly, providing HR users providing users with friendly reporting processes, and works very well with Munis. Our goal is really to automate HR so that we can focus more on the strategic and less on the tactical. But this year we are going to be very busy with 8 upcoming contract negotiations. We're right now finalizing streets. We're working with part-time custodians, parking monitors, professional and management, and we will begin working with clerical, crossing guards, fire department, grounds, building, and maintenance. So it's going to be a very busy year. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Great, thank you very much. As I already say, I know it's the most important department. Deb, Paul, Carol, no. No, I don't see any other questions, but thank you very much. Appreciate the report.
Sharada, can you pull up the slide for the pension plan, please?
Yeah.
You stop sharing it. I can hear her talking to me over here. Sorry about that. Here we go. Awesome. And I know we talked about this during the budget presentation as well, but I think it bears repeating. We talked a little bit about the history of our pension plan and really the vision that this council had, 3 years ago to issue pension obligation bonds to essentially resuscitate and bring back to life our pension plan. At the time, it was 40% funded. Our ADEC, if you go to that bottom bullet, back in fiscal year 22, our ADEC was actuarial determined employer contribution, sorry for using the acronym there, was $26.9 million. Prior to the issuance of pension obligation bonds, we were experiencing on average, some years were a little bit higher, some years a little bit lower, but on average a $1.5 million increase in our ADEC every single year. So had we not issued the pension obligation bonds 3 years ago, our ADEC today would be approximately 31 million, probably closer to $32 million today. And if you go up to the top of the page, you can see our ADEC for fiscal year 26 is $10 million. And then our POB debt service is $17.6 million for a total of $27.7 million, which is still it's $4 million less in ADEC and our POB debt service requirement than where we would be today had we not done this. So it was a incredibly smart decision then and continues to be today as we move forward. So we will, as you see up top, we'll see our funded ratio continue to move in the right direction. And we do continue to use our reserve fund. We had the foresight as well at that time to establish a pension obligation reserve fund to smooth in any losses that we experience with our general fund. And again, we continue to do that. Our reserve fund remains, we're earning about $1 million in interest a year in that reserve fund. So we maintain a balance of roughly $26 million in that fund. But total ADEC payment of $10 million, far below that $32 million that it would be today. And then you add the debt service and on that as well. We're still way significantly below where we would be had we continued with the pension plan in the state that it was at that time. So happy to take any questions that the council has on this. And I know we've talked about this before in the past as well. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions? Let's see, as I'm sharing this, I can't see. I don't see any questions. All right.
Right.
Thank you very much. We can move on, I think, to the health
Yep.
department.
So the next, finally, we have our health district. And as the council knows, the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District services both West Hartford and Bloomfield, providing full-time professional health services to residents of both communities. The district is governed by an 8-member board, of which the town managers from both communities sit on that board. And both towns make separate payments to the district, and West Hartford's payment will increase slightly this upcoming fiscal year from $967,000 to $972,000. We are working very closely with our health district. We have, as folks have seen in the news, looking at federal funding cuts to essentially most programs that we deal with, but a health district has been part of that as well. So right now we're being told that there will be a reduction of about $106,000 in federal grant appropriations to the health district that we will continue to monitor as we move through the spring and into the upcoming fiscal year. So that summarizes the health district budget for the upcoming year. Happy to answer any questions that the council had through you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So yeah, that was going to be my question. So we're thinking they're going to lose about 100,000 from the feds.
Yeah.
Do we have an expectation about extra contribution from us, or is that going to be?
We will work on that. So what we'll at least start the fiscal year, I think, trying to manage it through the overall budget, health district budget. And if there were going to be a need for an additional appropriation, then we would come back to the council for that at some future date. Okay. So we'll keep you updated through this committee, but hopeful something will change. And if it doesn't, and we're not able to manage it through the budget process, then we would have to come back to both our town and Bloomfield for an additional appropriation, but hopeful that won't happen.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I'm so sorry for you, Mr. Chair. I don't see this in what page this is on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
16-1.
16. All right.
Yeah, the non-departmental.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Took me a while too.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. Well, I think that sounds like that concludes our workshop aspect of the meeting. I appreciate everybody, all the work that has gone into this. And now I guess we have a couple other resolutions to discuss.
We do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have 2 resolutions that we will put on tomorrow night's council agenda. So the first one's an appropriation of funds awarded under the federal highway safety program, and our police department applied for and received a $38,579 grant to support distracted driving enforcement in areas that we've identified as high rates of fatal and high injury crashes. So these funds would be used to incorporate enforcement activities in these areas and would essentially fund for the overtime required for this particular assignment. And the second one, the second resolution would be to, we receive drug enforcement fund money from, as a result of drug asset forfeitures. When someone's arrested and we recover assets, we at some point in the future will receive a percentage of those forfeitures, and we are allowed to use those funds for substance abuse treatment programs, education programs, as well as funds to help investigate, arrest, and prosecute individuals for drug crimes. So we're requesting to use $4,905 so that 6 of our police officers could attend a New England Narcotic Enforcement Officers Conference in May, May 21st through May 23rd. And this appropriation would allow us to send those officers to that conference. Happy to answer any questions on both of those grants. Or resolution, sorry.
No, I don't see any questions. We'll be happy to get the money. We have the money in hand.
We do, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, then to know. So I doubt we have any outside communications or staff reports.
We do not.
And or future items, agenda items. Before we break though, I do want to, since this is the last of our departmental budget workshops. So again, I want to thank you for all the work you've done guiding us through this. For anybody viewing, we do have our final public hearing on the budget tomorrow at 6 p.m. So that is one more opportunity. Obviously, we're getting emails, one more opportunity to come in person and for the public to give any comments or suggestions about the budget, and so we'll be there to listen. And then, of course, we're voting on the budget adoption on April 22nd. And I know any suggestions that anyone might have, and amendments to this that any council people would like to propose, we certainly hope to get that in as soon as possible. There will be documents that will be created prior to that meeting. And so, again, any suggestions, anybody who wants to add to or cut from this budget, I'd certainly ask that, from the council, certainly should get that in as soon as possible, so that can be considered by the respective caucuses as for possible inclusion into the budget. So we hope to hear from any colleagues to see whether or not there are changes that they'd like to make. But again, certainly the public, we're eager to hear from people tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout. I know it's a tough budget this year, and there's some daunting numbers. Hopefully, the greater understanding, if certainly people have watched through these hearings or these workshops, can see a lot of sort of what's going on and an explanation for it. But still, we have some work to do, and we'll certainly start with that over the next couple of weeks, continuing the work, coming up with ideas. So with that, I'll thank everybody for not too long a meeting, considering the number of topics we've covered. And without objection, I'll move to adjourn the meeting. Seeing none, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everybody.
Have a good night.